Scarlet Knights of Rutgers finished 9-4 despite a rather soft schedule, and they crushed Central Florida in the St. Petersburg Bowl. But Tom Savage was a true freshman last year, and the future looks bright for the young star. He also got a wide receiver named Mohamed Sanu. He's a beast, very physical. He's going to touch the ball in a lot of ways for Greg Schiano.
Well, what kind of strides can Savage make in year two? He had a solid year for a true freshman. Career passing yards for a true freshman, over 2,000 yards, over 19 touchdowns. So what can he build on that success he had as a freshman? Because he has a body for it. He's 6'5", 230, so he has an NFL-type body, a body that is built for big-time college football. Can he make strides? Also, the running game is a question mark. They lack explosiveness out of the running game. So be prepared to see some true freshmen come in the mix. You got Jawan Jamison, a talented true freshman that has a lot of wiggle. And you also look at Casey Turner, another guy with some speed to burn. So those true freshmen are going to come in and try to make a lot of plays, jumpstart that offense. And they do have a veteran offensive line that's versatile, so those guys can't play along the line of scrimmage. So that's going to help out a lot as they get that running game going. That's important for the Scarlet Knights.
And you know what Schiano's all about. That's the defensive side of the ball, playing very aggressive. They were first in tackles for loss and first in fumble recovery. Leading tackler, linebacker Antonio Lowry is back. They got to replace Devin McCourty, who was a good all-around player at cornerback. But Schiano is really going to blitz and attack some offenses.
Well, you look at the defensive line with Feeney, the outstanding defensive end, and Scott Malone, that's solid defensive tackle. So defensive line, they're okay. And I like the fact that they do have safety Joe Ledgefield, a guy back there that's a big hitter. So any receiver going across the middle is going to get their lights knocked out by Ledgefield. So he's a tremendous playmaker. Now the question is, can Manny Abreu, that big-time recruit from a couple of years ago, will he ever step up and be the star playmaker that they expect him to be out of high school, that all the high school recruiting services had him rated coming out of Union City, Union Hill High School? He has to step up and be big for that defense. If he can step up and be a star, that defense is going to be tremendous.
University of South Florida has a new coach, and that's Skip Holtz, formerly of ECU, and he taken over a program that really got hit. B.J. Daniels was a true freshman last year. He replaced the injured senior Matt Grothe. He loves to throw the ball out the pocket, and on the run, they got Moisey Blanchard back with a experienced offensive line at running back. What do you see for the Bulls this year?
Well, I look at the maturation of B.J. Daniels. Last year, as a true freshman, had 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Can he continue to build on top of that success? He has to be more of a passer in the pocket, not be too quick to take off and run. It helped him against Florida State, but it also hurt him in other games throughout the year. So he has to be more of a passer out the pocket and know when to use his footwork. You look at the wide receiving core, Dontavia Bonds, and the rest of the wide receiver core, Bogan. Those guys are going to have to come in and step up big because they lost a lot of talented playmakers in that wide receiving core. You look at, they lost
Carlton Mitchell,
and Carlton Mitchell,
player,
right? So they have to step up and be big for that offense.
And 5 NFL players on defense were lost, including Pierre Paul and Nate Allen. And their defensive front, they're going to go with a 5-2 with new defensive coordinator Mark Snyder. So this is going to be the vital point in being over 500 or under 500.
Well, they're still athletic in the secondary. I do like the fact that they do have Quentin Washington and also Kevon Webster. Those guys at cornerback can make plays. They're inexperienced, but they can make plays. They are athletic. And can they generate the pass rush? They lost Selvey. They lost Pierre Paul. Will they replace that pass rush? But I do like middle linebacker Sam Barrington. He's going to be a star.
The Syracuse Orange saw some success last year after finishing 4-8, better than the previous 2 seasons. Thanks to Doug Marrone, who was a first-year coach last year. He was assistant for the New Orleans Saints. He's now in his 2nd year, and he's named himself offensive coordinator. Quarterback Ryan Nassib was a redshirt freshman last year, and he saw a lot of time behind Greg Paula, so he has some experience. They bring back Deloney Carter, the running back. He's now a senior. He was a great player a couple years ago before getting injured. So what do you see for the Orange on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I think they still have a question mark at quarterback. That's the biggest thing. Not question mark whether or not Nassib can play, but can he build
production?
Right, his production has to be there. But Deloney Carter, after he gets suspended in the spring, can he come back and get back on the team and provide that running attack? Because he's a solid playmaker. But I do like Antoine Bailey, though, a backup running back that can provide some wiggle as well too. So you bring in Deloney Carter, and you also have Bailey back there. So that's going to help out that offense. And that offensive line is solid, But behind those guys, they're very, very thin. So they need those offensive linemen to be healthy to protect themselves from the lack of depth that they have on the offensive line.
Defensive side of the ball, of course, they lose Arthur Jones. His brother's on the team, though, but their star will be at linebacker Darrell Smith before getting injured. Over 80 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. So he's going to be the leader of that defense. They have a young secondary, Phillip and Shamarko Thomas, both in the secondary. They're going to start this year, both all Big East freshman team. So along with Damone Murkerson, who's a senior now, they have something to believe in the secondary.
I think the linebacking core is the strength of that defense. You look at Doug Hogue with 9.5 sacks, and you also look at Darrell Smith. Those guys are going to have to step up and be big help. The defense was okay. Yes, they lost Arthur Jones, but do return 10 starters on that defense. So that's going to be a big help for the Orange this year in the Big East. So defensively, they're going to be, I think they may be fine. But they can't still get the quarterback, and the secondary struggles because they don't have enough playmakers back there. And that's where they gave up 24 touchdowns. That could possibly be due to the defensive line because the D-line had problems getting to the quarterback. You see most of the sacks came from the linebacking core, so the D-line has to get pressure on the quarterback to help out that secondary.
And the West Virginia Mountaineers, led by Coach Bill Stewart. The last time we saw them was in the Gator Bowl. They blew a second-half lead to Florida State. Bobby Bowden went out as a winner on top. Noel Devine, it's his senior year already, and it's his show. He needs more touches, but I love the banger. They compliment him with Ryan Clark because he could really smash heads. Offensive coordinator Jeff Mullen, he's in his 3rd year. Spread the wealth system. He's going to hand the reins over to Geno Smith, quarterback, which I think could be underrated.
I think he could be underrated as well, but is he ready for prime time? That's the big question. They got spoiled the past couple of years. They had Pat White, and you had Jared Brown was a 4-year player behind Pat White. Now you have Geno Smith. Is he ready for the prime time lights of the Big East Conference? This is a premier conference now. Also, but he has the luxury of having Noel Devine. Heavy dose Noel Devine. You also have the talented wide receiver Jock Sanders. Get him the rock as well too. And savvy vet and Tavin Austin, another solid, savvy playmaker. So he has some talent. He has to just get the ball to him. And the offensive line is a key to this team because I look at the fact that most of the zone blocking team, but last year they mixed the elements of the power running game. That proved to be outstanding. Some people thought it didn't work, some people thought it did. But I like the fact that you're able to be versatile on the offensive line and your blocking scheme. That's going to help out overall the team and Geno Smith make the transition easy.
Can Geno Smith stay healthy because he broke his foot? He broke a bone in his foot in the spring. So, I mean, he's a little thin, but he really can run the spread and he could toss the ball around. Defensive side of the ball, Scooter Berry, defensive end, and Chris Neal, nose tackle. This is their 3rd both. They've been starting since sophomore, so there's a lot of experience on that D-line, and I love their secondary. Their defense is always small but speedy. They go with the 3-3-5. Cornerbacks Brandon Hogan and Keith Tandy, and I love the safety, Robert Sands. So I like this side of the ball for them.
Yeah, Sands is 6'5", so he could a rangy, tall playmaker back there in the secondary. And Hogan could have came out last year for the NFL draft. So secondary is solid. That's the best unit on the defense. So I think that's going to be key. I look at those guys have to come in and make a lot of plays. But I also like the fact that defensively they're going to have to get that linebacker up to speed and generate some type of rush. The linebacker group has to play big. JT Thomas is a beast. If he can play up, he did the same level he did back in 08. This is going to be a vastly improved defense, so he has to step up tremendously.
Check out video 2 for our Big East preseason awards and predictions. And for more college football previews, visit footballgameplan.com/NCAA or visit our YouTube page at youtube.com/footballgameplan.